Good evening, I'm Sarah Mangawa and welcome to BCN News. Leading our news tonight, Minister for Natural Resources Honorable Mona Ainuu is leading NUE's delegation to the World Conference on Climate Change, COP27, currently underway in Egypt. The minister was also appointed by the Pacific leaders as the first Pacific region's political champion for gender and social inclusion for COP27. Here's Losana Sioneholo with more on this story.
Just before departing the island last Friday, Minister Ainuu was on the News of the Week radio program, saying what an honor it is that the leaders of the Pacific have shown their confidence in her as a champion and the voice for women and the vulnerable citizens of the Pacific. She said that it is a role she holds in high regard because she is the champion for Pacific peoples whose voices are perhaps not well represented or heard enough at these large conferences. Minister Ainuu is one of a few Pacific women who are in ministerial positions and said that she is humbled and honored to champion the women and the people of the Pacific Islands at COP27, the world's premier conference on climate change. Upon arrival at the conference, Honorable Mona Ainuu delivered two keynote addresses. Firstly, she delivered a statement at the Asian Development Bank side event on climate adaptation for resilient coastal development and blue economy, sharing NUE's perspective and leadership on ocean climate action. She spoke about NUE's innovative and progressive move in introducing ocean conservation credits in a world first to help finance and protection of the island's marine conservation efforts. She also presented at the Pacific Island Climate Action Network's COP27 side event on Monday on gender, climate justice, disaster risk reduction, biodiversity protection, and the right to a healthy and sustainable environment and climate. During the course of the conference, she will deliver a statement at the Gender Day side event hosted by the Regional Gender Technical Working Group and deliver the opening remarks at the Pacific Disability Forum.
NUE and the Northern Territory of Australia share a twinning relationship in its parliament since it was made known in 2007. Just last Friday, NUE was able to welcome onto the island the Speaker of the Northern Territory, Honourable Mark Monaghan, and the First Clerk Assistant, Mr. Russell Keefe, who are here to strengthen the relationship between the two parliaments. Here's more on this story. This is the first time the Speaker of the Northern Territory has visited the island, a purpose which is seen to reinforce and continue the good work that former speakers and the relationship both parliaments have forged and fostered over the years. BCN News was able to speak with the Speaker, Honourable Monaghan, on Monday afternoon this week, who shared the importance of his visit to the island.
Northern Territory and Niuean Parliament are twins. This is our twin parliament, and what that means is part of the Commonwealth family of parliaments. We all help each other, and one of the roles that we are doing this week is to come and learn from each other and provide some support where needed within your parliamentary processes, and to learn from the Niuean way to do it. So I might go back and make some changes to my parliament. It's a very important thing to come and meet people and see people face to face, to touch your earth, to feel your breezes, to walk amongst the people, and it's because it's very important for us to get a very deep understanding of where we have similarities and where we have learnings that we can learn from each other. From a parliamentary perspective, there's a great deal within the tradition of the Commonwealth around some of the practices, whether they're committees, whether it's parliamentary systems or processes or whatever, that actually can be shared and be understood, but they're better shared when you know who you're sharing them with. We spent a couple of years in COVID times when we couldn't see each other and couldn't communicate with each other. Fortunately, we're now moving out of that, and we're back to being able to engage as neighbours in these regions for the ensuring that the people, the communities that elect us, whether it's the Northern Territory government or whether it's the Niuean government, the people who elect us get the benefit of some of that wiser decision making.
Honourable Monaghan, with a profound background in business, education, engineering and politics, shared with BCN News his advice for the upcoming generation and those who are interested in pursuing in these fields.
I think what people need to pursue is their passion, and not predetermine where that's going to end up. I was a immigrant from Scotland, born and bred in Scotland, moved to Australia, and for the life of me never thought that this little Scottish-born Glaswegian would end up the Speaker of a Australian Parliament. So it's about not confining yourself to but pursuing your passion, finding out what you're really interested in, and there's always a way of making that into a job and a career and a life, because if it's something you're passionate about it, you're going to be good at it, because you immerse yourself in it and you contribute more to it than what is a normal day's work.
The Speaker and First Clerk Assistant will depart the island tomorrow. The United Nations Development Programme are currently leading a series of integrity strengthening efforts on the island held this week, which are centered around anti-corruption. The target audience have been government departments and officials, businesses, women, and youth entrepreneurs. Here's more on this story. On Monday this week, UNDP and the Crown Law Office of the government organized and facilitated a two-day workshop, which is held this week on rights to information and open government. Funded by the New Zealand's Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Trade, the workshop was attended by senior government officials, members of the Whanokepule and village council representatives. Presentations of the day were heard from the United Nations Pacific Regional Anti-Corruption Team, UNDP, representatives from the New Zealand Ombudsman's Office, a panel of local media representatives, and a presentation from the Office of Australia's Information Commission. The workshop aimed to improve understanding of the current situation in Niue with regards to the public's access to government information. According to a UNDP press release issued on Tuesday this week, Solicitor General of the Crown Law Office of Niue, Justin Kamupala, shared that the right to access government-held information is a critical component of democracy and a foundational pillar of open government. It enables citizens to participate more fully in public life and helps to combat corruption. Improving the right to information is not necessarily about fixing a broken system. Rather, we should view it as an opportunity to enhance and build on the good things that we do for the public, and there are many instances where we are already doing this, such as stakeholder consultations, says Justin. The challenge for the Niue government is that most information that should be readily available to the public, such as audit reports, budget reports, government departments' annual reports, are not. BCN's Acting General Manager Esther Pavihi said that what is lacking on the Niue Public Service is a culture of proactive disclosure of information to the public and also to the media. Yesterday, the United Nations Pacific Regional Anti-Corruption Team with the Niue Chamber of Commerce hosted a Women Entrepreneurs Anti-Corruption Workshop at Scenic Matavai Resort. BCN News was able to speak with Samoa's Assistant Resident Representative for UNDP, Christina Mualia Lima, yesterday afternoon.
Well, basically, this is one of the mandates under UNDP, specifically under the UNPREC project that I mentioned prior. I also have to mention that this project is managed by our UNDP Pacific office, and this is done together with our UNDP Samoa. And it's basically for advocacy and awareness around right to information, what it means, getting that understanding across not only the government, but private sector and all citizens alike, on the importance of accessing relevant information that is required, but at the same time also working with Chamber of Commerce to boost the capacity or enhance the capacity of not only young entrepreneurs but women entrepreneurs along the lines of safeguarding their businesses with anti-corruption processes or issues. So basically it's assisting them to be aware of certain corruption practices that they may encounter and may identify while they are progressing with their businesses, and also assisting them in strengthening those internal control mechanisms. One of the key aims as well for today's workshop with the women entrepreneurs is to develop a toolkit for women entrepreneurs in the lines of safeguarding their businesses against these corruption practices. So that is the work that we're currently undertaking right now.
Earlier today, another workshop on anti-corruption capacity building was held for Niue's youth and young entrepreneurs, also at Scenic Matavai Resort. Travellers are no longer required to complete a New Zealand Traveller Declaration form before entering into New Zealand. New Zealand's COVID-19 entry requirements were removed last month on the 20th of October. Meanwhile, the requirements still remain the same for Niue. All travellers coming into the island must first apply for a traveller pass. Here's Losana Sioneholo with more.
Travellers to New Zealand are no longer required to complete a New Zealand declaration form as required before travelling into the country by all travellers. However, travellers to Niue are still required to complete a Niue Traveller Declaration form that can be found on the official Niue COVID-19 website. With the changes to the arrival days of the flight to Friday, passengers will be required to complete their Day 1 test at the Niuefo Hospital on Saturday and Day 3 test on Monday.
As the senior students of Niue High School immerse themselves in the NCEA exam season, a team of 4 experts from the New Zealand Qualifications Authority, otherwise NZQA, arrived on the island last week and are working closely with the Niue High School staff on the new changes that will take place for the NCEA program. Here's more on this story. The team has been working with the Education Department, especially the Niue High School staff, on some of the changes that are currently taking place for the school's NCEA program and requirements. BCN News was able to speak with the NZQA team leader, Jason Cora, yesterday morning, who shared the purpose of their visit to the island.
We've come to support the Niue community, but specifically to work with our Niue High School staff. And the leadership around the NCA changes that are currently taking place. 2 key focuses for this visit. One is to support around the changes in NCA to literacy and numeracy. And the second one is the changes in NCA subjects at level 1. So we'll be working with this trip all the staff. But part of our team, we've brought specialists for maths, English, science, health and PE will be our key sort of areas.
The current changes taking place for high school will last for a duration of the next 3 years and to be completely renewed by 2025, says Jason.
On Monday, we worked with the senior leadership team to help plan out the week. Yesterday, we held a teacher-only day. Where we focused on literacy and numeracy. Today and Thursday, we've got an opportunity to sort of sit down with the different departments and different subject teachers.
Meanwhile, the senior students of Niue High School across all levels, from NCEA Level 1 to Level 3, are preparing for their NCEA exams, which began last Sunday. On Tuesday this week, the Department of Agriculture, Forestry and Fisheries, with the support of the Rock Vets, held a domestic pig farming seminar at the Waipapahi farm at Hikutavake. The seminar consisted of a theory and practical session educating local pig farmers who attended on the important issues and factors about management practices and rearing pigs for the pig farmers on the island. Here's more on this story. Led by DAF Livestock Officer Tom Vaitolo Vaha and Rock Vet Specialist Dr. Brian Gartel, along with the support of DAF staff, more than 30 participants and local pig farmers attended the seminar this week. According to Tom, the day started with a very informative presentation by Dr. Gartel explaining the basic management practices needed for a piggery, general discussions about pig pests and diseases, and how to take control of these issues. Following his presentation was the discussions on the number of pigs produced in Niue, which was given by Tom. The practical session included Dr. Brian Gartel, who demonstrated how to restrain a large pig if needed for injection, inspection, or general health check. Tom said it was a great turnout for the department and also for Brian. Last Saturday, Motu and Tafisi battled out their second game of rugby league at the Niue High School grounds. A tough challenge for both teams, but the champions of the day were left to Tafisi with 44 points to 18 to Motu. Here's more on this story.
According to Niue Rugby League President Zach Smith, Game 2 was a good outcome injury-wise. Zach said it was a well-deserved win for Tafisi. The date for Motu versus Tafisi third game is yet to be confirmed. However, training resumed yesterday in preparation for the next game, says Zach.
Before we end our news bulletin for tonight, the population and household census for 2022 will commence tomorrow. And on Saturday will also be Toi's Village Show Day, calling out to all locals and tourists alike to come and support the village of Toi for their show day. And that is our news bulletin for tonight. Do join us again next Tuesday and Thursday for more of our local news. Until then, wishing you all a lovely evening. Good night.